Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Lakers Fastbreak podcast. I am your host, Sean Grice, the Magic Man, and with me is my co host and guest today for the Lakers Kings preview show, our podfather, Gerald Glassford. Gerald,
What's
how are
up,
you?
everyone? Good. Happy Lakers weekend. Hopefully, we will finish off the Lakers weekend with part one of a back to back game with a win so that the beam will not be lit tonight in Sacramento, celebrating LeBron's 20th anniversary of his first game. It's interesting to see that actually, the picture that we used, coincidentally, coinky dinky, they actually made a frame of it and put it in his locker. If you check out Lakers Fast Break on Twitch, you actually see the retweet I did of Dave McMenamin from ESPN. They actually showcase, I don't know if it was his shoes from that game or if it's shoes for the game today's
Mm-hmm.
game, but there's actually a framed picture of the same slam dunk I'm showing you as far as the JPEG from 20 years ago on this. Very interesting. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
it's amazing where it all started to the exact day, Gerald, October 29th, 2003.
You think the league might have had something to do with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think this was obviously coordinated and pre-planned, as you would say, Gerald. I'm sure they have a surprise for him because I haven't heard anything officially yet, but something tells me the NBA has something in store. Uh, and Gerald, we won't have time to go into it in the post game, but there is like a 6 degree of Kevin Bacon separation in that game with all the different personalities. Gerald, eight past or present Lakers played in that game.
It's so funny how that is, and you see the remnants of that team, like the Sacramento team that gave the Lakers such a challenge, and in some cases, in some circles, still to this day, some Sacramento fans will feel that that team is better than the Lakers with Vlade and Chris Webber and Mike Bibby, and you see that as far as the final remnants of that team facing off against LeBron, and how that went off in completely different directions because Sacramento was starting a number of years of futility at that point in time that they didn't know about, and of course we all saw what LeBron's great career would turn out to be at that time as well.
Yeah, it's funny how that worked out, huh? They both thought they were kind of on steady ground. And then 3 years later, somebody's in a sinkhole and the other one's climbing the mountain. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah, but before we digress, Gerald, there's a big game tonight. Obviously, at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Lakers Kings. Trey Lyles will be out for the Kings, Gerald. That's his third straight game where he won't be able to play. That he's nursing a calf strain. The Lakers will also be without Jared Vanderbilt. And Gerald, did you see the updated medical report on Jared Vanderbilt today?
Yes, I did see it, but I also actually retweeted as well at Lakers Fast Break some footage of him working out at the Lakers facility. I know there's still a 2 week that they're going to evaluate and see in regards to that, but you said there's something a little bit more on Jared. I do also want to mention Cam Reddish was given the green light for tonight as well, which I cannot say. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but actually is kind of a relief for us because of how well he's been playing defensively for us and the kind of versatility he has. And I cannot believe I'm actually saying those words out of my mouth since we saw Cam Reddish, but Cam Reddish on a minimum contract is very easily palatable for what our needs are right now. But you said you have an update on Jared Vanderbilt
Well, that pretty much was the update. Yeah,
for
it was
2 weeks, and they're going to
yeah, the
evaluate
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
and we
was working on some drills in UCLA Health Center yesterday for practice, so that's a sign that at least he's out on the court doing some things right now.
absolutely, yeah, and obviously they want to kind of nurse that along and not have it precipitate into something larger. So, I
Yeah,
mean, another 2 weeks. Hopefully, he'll be back on the court. Uh,
wear different shoes
hmm
for the bursitis and the heel. But big shout out to Search. don't forget, everyone. Speaking of the game, we'll be on and we'll be moving over to playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. As soon as we're done here tonight, right now, here in just a few minutes, we're hopping over to playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break so you can join us. And you said Joe's on the way as well, so that's going to be, good to see as well. So Darren says teams were not ready for a 6'8" guy that was that fast, that powerful, and that could jump out of the gym. He took the league by surprise, absolutely. And that's when he was, my gosh, because you saw how thin he was at that point in time, relatively speaking. Obviously he was still larger for his size compared to most people his size, but he was still much thinner than he was at his peak. Because I still think he went 280 at his peak. I still think he was in that 280, 285 range at his peak. But that's just my personal opinion. I think, and also I think what he said previously. But I think he's getting closer and closer to that weight he was at when he first started, because that's how it usually progresses. When you play a long time in the NBA, you start out, you need more muscle, you need more strength, you get more strength, you get more muscle, but then you start getting older, you need to shed some of that in order to try and keep up with the younger kids. And as we've seen LeBron in the last game, he cannot do, no matter what the game is at, he can't do what he needs to do for 35, 38 minutes tonight. He needs to just play 28, 29, especially if you have plans on playing him tomorrow. There is the possibility that he'll probably be sat down tomorrow because it's not a nationally televised game. So that is a possibility for tomorrow as well. People have to come to grips with that.
Yeah, absolutely, Gerald. He could end up playing, possibly 32, 34 minutes tonight and sit tomorrow. I I'm I'm like 50-50 on that. I'm with you. I think it's definitely a possibility. And
I mean, it's the first back-to-back of the year for the Lakers, so it's definitely a possibility.
absolutely, and it might lead to another situation because in about a week and a half they play the Heat and Rockets on a back to back, so he may be sitting out one of those games
Gio, which
as
one did you
well.
say?
Yeah,
Which one? Which one? Let me see. The Heat, relatively good team, a possible playoff contender, or the Rockets, who have started the season 0-2. Hmm.
and are the ne'er do wells of the NBA again.
Yes. Although, remember last time we sat LeBron down for a game against the Rockets in the season? Remember how that worked out?
Yeah, yes. We always have to mention that. Unfortunately, there's always some blot footnote attached to the Lakers playing when LeBron sits.
I think that was probably one of the top 10 Joe rants, I think, on that day. Yeah.
It
So
was.
maybe do it
It
again.
was. It
Yes.
was.
Maybe do it again.
Gerald, I think, pardon me, I think that was AD sitting with Ed in Houston.
But it was also LeBron was sitting
LeBron,
as well.
yeah, that's right. That's right. It was both of them. Correct. That was
Mhm.
right. That was one of Joe's
Right.
probably top 10 rants.
Yes.
Absolutely.
He was livid. I actually got to get the footage from that day. That just brought my head.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
went
there you
nuts.
go.
He went nuts on both of them. That was
Yes.
hilarious. But
Yes.
so Gerald, who do you look? We've seen it before. We've seen it before with the Kings and Lakers. Darvin Ham is likely to put Austin Reeves checking De'Aaron Fox, not D'Angelo Russell.
Good luck.
Yeah, he's
I mean,
fat.
our friend Rodell, who keeps emailing us, and much appreciated, LakersFastBreak at yahoo.com. The defender of D'Lo, or the D'Lo defender, because D'Lo can't defend himself. Pun there.
Oh, ooh.
But
Need to get sent to the burn unit for that one.
it's going to be tough for either of those guys. Let's just put it that way. You may even see Tayshaun Prince again. I mean, Prince, remember in that first game against Murray, was the first guy that was lining up
Murray,
on.
yeah, he was. Yeah.
So, as I noted to Rodell on that, so I don't think the team or the coach has very much confidence in the backcourt defense of both Reeves and also as well D'Angelo. So it all depends. I think that D'Angelo could be a decent guard for Harrison Barnes, despite the fact he got off to such a hot start in that first game. I think that he can man up on him, and I think that if you have Herter with Reese, I think you're just gonna have to live with Prince on Fox and see what you go from there, because the Lakers do not have someone that can match with that kind of speed. Not Reddish, not Christie. They don't have that type of dynamic defender. And then,
This is where Vando's absence hurts.
yeah, it does, because that's one thing he can do well is one-on-one on an island defense. I think he can bother you enough and stay in front of you enough, which is the key, staying in front of you. I know, again, Rodell came back with the deflections, and yeah, that's great. But when the guy is running by you all the time, you better be at least do something besides just letting him run by. And deflections are okay, but we've constantly seen it already where it's Vincent, Reeves, and D'Angelo. They're constantly letting these guards, mediocre NBA guards, running by so far, especially in the Phoenix game, and it was just frustrating. If that's the case, then what's D'Angelo going to be able to do against
Well, and
Fox tonight?
I think they're not going to have much of a choice, Gerald, because I think obviously Mike Brown knows what's up as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of switching and a lot of screening to get Reeves and D'Lo in positions where they have no choice but to
And you got to keep
guard
Sabonis off the
off.
offensive
Yeah,
boards.
yeah.
You got to keep him off the offensive boards. Absolutely, that should be a priority as well.
We need Christian Wood to play with the exact same ferocity on the weak side boards as he did last game.
I agree. Or AD, if you want AD on Sabonis, as long as he doesn't get into foul trouble, that's fine. And Prince, he's got to stay out of foul trouble as well. If you're going to have a man up on De'Aaron Fox, you just got to make sure that he stays out of foul trouble, which is something very difficult for him because he is very foul prone.
Absolutely. And Gerald, they've got a really, really strong. They probably have a top 10. I would say depth at guard. Very complimentary. Not a whole lot of overlapping skills. Guys can do different things. They're obviously counting on Malik Monk, a former Laker. So we need to, I think, match their bench intensity. You really need to have a good game out of Rui Hashimura.
Yep, and that's something of great concern. Is he going to be that guy that we've seen so many times in the NBA where they sign that fat contract, probably the biggest contract of his career? Then you just take that sigh of relief, and your game falters because of it, and that's something I don't want to see. Will he go back and revert back to inconsistent Rui, which is something that first couple games we've seen that he's not made an impact. He's not that he shot terribly. He hasn't shot well, but he hasn't shot terrible, but he just has not made an impact. When he's on the floor, you don't notice him. And that's so much different when on the playoffs. The playoffs, they were leaving him open. He made an impact. He hit shots, and he made the other team finally care about him as an individual. Right now, he's just playing like a guy that's just there, and we can't have that. We can't have that at all.
No, not at all. So I think there needs to be a consistent effort from Anthony Davis offensively, Gerald. He needs to be able to attack both Sabonis and McGee or whoever's checking him, but primarily Sabonis. He's a big dude, man. It's hard to move him off those spots, so you really have to be fundamentally sound. And Gerald, there has to be at least somebody willing to shadow
Yeah,
him because he has a tendency to love those tip outs, and that's how Sacramento usually gets a lot of those secondary and tertiary possessions. Is he's able to just tap it out.
yeah.
He's got a knack for that. A lot of guys tend to do it indiscriminately, Gerald, but he usually has one eye around where he's going to tip the ball. That's a skill not a lot of big men have. So you're 100% right. Two eyes, three eyes on Sabonis at all times.
And then also, hopefully, the outside shooting of the Kings will not be that effective tonight. That's going to lead to hopefully a lot of defensive rebounds, and hopefully it can lead to a lot of transition points. Because
Yeah,
right now, I don't have any faith in the Lakers outside shooting right now.
no, No, there's not a whole lot of faith there, and without a doubt, unfortunately, I don't know why we're slowing down in transition, Gerald. We're taking away those primary options when the ball is up, and either Vincent or D'Lo or whoever has the ball is just kind of going half step
You got to
across the
push it.
line. You got to push it.
Yeah, you
You
told
got to
you.
push it.
How long you been listening to me saying push it, transition? I mean, last year I was going at it with Z on how much this team is reliant on transition, and as long as you have LeBron in there as a player, by his very nature, he is best being in transition, being in a speed up mode, being in a mode where there's open lanes for him to drive. When you're in a half court setting, that is not the best way to utilize LeBron's skills and talents unless you make it where he can be able to drive the lanes. And the problem is the Lakers are not shooting well enough to make the lanes open for him. So it's really hard right now. Darren says in Rui's defense, except for LeBron, they almost never get him the ball. Well, if you're Rui, you just got a big paycheck. You got to demand the ball. You got to walk up to LeBron and say, you know what, I want the ball. I can make the shot and send it over to me. You think Christian Wood is worrying about that? Christian Wood has never found a shot he hasn't liked. He is just saying, as soon as he gets the ball, he's going to shoot the ball. That's
And
what we're
and
seeing.
and Gerald, I think that requires
And
cooperation.
love it or hate it, that's who he is, and he's not ashamed to be that way. So
Well, that's why there's going to take a lot of cooperation, Gerald, in order for Rui to be effective as he needs to be. That the Lakers need him to be, and Christian Wood as well. I think there's enough um, arrows in the quiver for them to both be happy off the bench. But I mean, they have to work together to do it.
yeah,
I think it works both ways. I think they have to run sets for Rui, but you're right, Gerald. He also has to demand the ball. I mean, you're being paid $18 million a year, Rui.
yeah,
You should demand the ball.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Plus, he did take one of the games. He took 12 shots.
Hmm.
So that's if he's getting double digit looks, you got to do something with it. You got to be effective. That means you are getting the shots for the time that you are in there. So that means the coaching staff is finding looks for him. The last game, no, because he just wasn't effective at all. But the first game, he took 12 shots. So he's getting 12, 13, 14 shots a game. That's exactly where you want him. Is you just got to go ahead and be effective and make those shots a lot more consistently, and cannot revert back to inconsistent Rui. Because if he is, that's not going to help the Lakers one bit.
It's not. It's not. And by the way, I also want to give a shout out, even though we may disagree and quibble. Me and Modell are both Laker fans, and I told him I thought D'Lo would have a breakout game tonight. I think he does, Gerald. I think Rui has a comeback game. I'm looking forward to a very competitive contest. I think we'll end up winning it in the end. So everybody, please head on to playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. In a few minutes, we'll be on for you. So with that, we'll say see you later. We'll be back for the post game show. And so long, Lakers.
Go Lakers!
Go Lakers.